Welcome to 2 cents short of a dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Mo Tiz, and I'm Rue. Breaking news today. So Keith Thurman suffers a bicep injury in training camp, and he has to pull out of the Tszyu fight, a fight that I know we both were excited for, but Sebastian Fundora is going to step in as the replacement. So with that news, how are you feeling about all that?
Man, Keith Thurman can't buy a break at this point in his career. It seems downhill for him. I think he's done. I think after that Danny Garcia fight, ever since he got that elbow injury, everything's just been downhill for him. In his health. I know he's trying to get that money fight, but at this point, he's done.
Yeah.
Any hopes of him coming back and really being a contender, I think is down the drain. Now for Tszyu, I believe now he's fighting Fundora, like you mentioned, and the date has changed to March 30th, or is that
March
correct or is that
30th was the
incorrect?
original date.
Oh, March 30th is the original date. Okay. I don't know why I'm thinking of April, but I'm probably thinking another fight, another bout.
April
So Fundora
20th,
steps in.
Haney Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. But Fundora steps in, and I think that's a formidable opponent for Tszyu. Fundora, he got a KO loss on his record when he fought against
Brian Mendoza.
Mendoza. That was a vicious knockout,
Mhm.
and that's because of more so on Fundora than anything, right? Being careless. But
Mhm.
Tszyu can pull out a win, but I think it's. I think this is probably. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I was probably more excited for the Keith Thurman and Tszyu fight, but in terms of competitiveness, I think this is more competitive.
Okay, yeah. So this is a tricky one. Fundora is a tricky opponent for anyone. He stands at about 6'6" at the 154 pound. That's just that's an anomaly. So
Yeah,
even though he did suffer that knockout loss, one thing to point out, Fundora was winning that fight prior to getting knocked out. Of course, he
exactly.
lost, but it just goes to show you Fundora can hang with just about anybody, right? Even in the fight that he lost, I thought he was comfortably winning. We seen what happened in the Erickson Lubin fight. And prior to that, I think people were high on Lubin. Like, Lubin was back. The Charlo loss was early in his career. Lubin's going to be a contender, and Fundora shut that down, right? So Fundora's a tricky style, tricky matchup. Now, Tszyu, pressure fighter, goes to the body. You can see him chopping that tree down. However, with Fundora to get in there, you're going to have to take some punches. You're going to have to take some punches. And I don't think Tszyu is afraid of taking punches, but I think this one's 50-50. And where I think Tszyu Keith Thurman probably wasn't necessarily 50-50 on paper, I think this is a 50-50 fight we're looking at now.
1,000%. This is a more competitive fight, and I could see any fighter coming out on top. And I think it's gonna be tough for Tszyu for sure. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah. Fundora just makes some weird stylistic matchup. But to kind of talk about Keith Thurman for a second, I feel bad for Keith Thurman. One, I thought they were doing him wrong with the whole 155 pound because now the title's on the line.
Yep.
From what I'm saying. So I think they were doing Keith Thurman wrong. And that's disrespect. I'm not gonna go on a tangent about, but Keith Thurman's he did a lot in the sport of boxing. He was one of the first people of kind of this generation trying to unify the belts in welterweight. Of course, Crawford
Mhm.
reigned supreme there, being undisputed. But Keith Thurman, remember, he unified even before Spence unified. So
Yeah.
Keith Thurman was the man at one point at welterweight, and kind of just to see it, the career kind of getting withered away like this, it's kind of sad. It hurts my heart to see. I hope he can come back. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but even if he doesn't, I think kind of in that Sean Porter space, I would love to hear Keith Thurman because he thinks boxing so brilliantly. I would love to hear Keith Thurman talk about boxing if the injuries he sustained has become too much. But this is going to be an electric fight, and keep in mind we still have that big undercard fight, right? So I think this is gonna be. I don't know if we're gonna see a ton of defense on that night. We're gonna see a lot of swinging. Pitbull, Rolly,
Yeah.
Fundora, Tszyu. One thing about
Tszyu.
Fundora, I'll say, and it kind of got him caught up in that Brian Mendoza fight. For such a tall guy with such a huge reach, he makes himself smaller, right? He likes to fight on the inside. He doesn't necessarily use his jab to keep you out. You would think a guy of that size, that stature, is using the jab to keep you out, but he prefers to fight on the inside. So
Yeah. But
in
you know
that,
what's crazy? I
yeah,
think I think that's his biggest asset though. I think
Yeah.
that's what makes him who he is because he's such a brilliant fighter on the inside. But like you mentioned, it can open things up for him, and he's careless. He can get dropped like he did in his
Yeah.
last bout. But I think that's how he punished Lubin. He was able to just get in the inside and outwork him. And people don't expect that for someone his size because when you're getting punished in the inside, you try to get out. He's just so long, he can just jab you on your way out. So
Hmm. So if Tszyu wins this fight, is he the man at 154? Even if Charlo reinserts himself at 154?
yeah, that'll be an even bigger fight because you got the person who used to be the man, and now you got the person who is the man.
Yeah.
Especially if he goes in, and it depends on what fashion he beats Fundora in. I think
Hmm.
that would answer a lot of our questions. So I think we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, definitely an exciting fight. Jump in the comment section now with the shift. I think a lot of people were going Tszyu, but are people still saying Tszyu, or people split Tszyu Fundora? Who do you have winning this fight? Do you think it's going to be a good fight? Are you excited for it? Go ahead and drop those comments. Like, subscribe, 2 cents short of $1, and we'll be there to cover the fight night or whatever. Cut that last part out. We won't be there on fight night, but whatever. I don't know why I said that.